The holographic transmission crackled to life, filling the United Nations Security Council chamber with an ethereal blue light. 12 alien representatives floated in midair, their translucent forms a stark reminder of humanity's recent entry into the galactic stage. Colonel Jack Thompson stood at the center of the room, his weathered face a canvas of barely contained tension. The lead representative of the Galactic Council, a crystalline being known as Zorax from the Centauri conglomerate, began to speak. Its voice resonated through advanced translation algorithms, each word carefully modulated to convey both diplomatic precision and underlying threat. Humanity's technological progression has become an unacceptable variable in the cosmic equation, Zorax proclaimed, its prismatic body shifting colors with each syllable. Thompson knew the speech by heart now. The accusations were always the same. Humanity's rapid technological advancement, its unpredictable nature, the potential for destabilizing the carefully maintained galactic balance. Behind him, a holographic display began to show humanity's most recent achievements: quantum communication breakthroughs, adaptive AI systems, and unprecedented space exploration milestones. In the past 50 solar cycles, Zorax continued, your species has demonstrated a rate of technological progression that defies all established galactic norms. You have developed quantum communication networks in a fraction of the time it took the Andromedan Collective. Your adaptive AI systems have solved computational challenges that have stumped civilizations thousands of years older than your own. The other council representatives nodded in synchronized agreement. A serpentine delegate from the Orion hegemony shifted uncomfortably, its multiple eyes scanning the human representative for any sign of weakness. Another, a gaseous entity from the nebula Concordat, pulsed with an ominous deep purple hue. Thompson remained motionless, a deliberate choice. Years of military training had taught him that sometimes silence was the most powerful response. He let the accusations wash over him, knowing that each word was carefully crafted to provoke, to intimidate. The council has reached a unanimous decision, Zorax declared, its crystalline form now pulsing with an intense red light. Effective immediately, humanity will be subject to the Galactic Containment Protocol. Your technological development will be frozen. All current research will be immediately transferred to the Council for review and potential redistribution. Space exploration beyond your current planetary system will be prohibited. The implications were clear. A technological embargo that would effectively strangle humanity's progress. Economic isolation. The potential complete reversal of every scientific breakthrough humanity had made in the past decades. In the observation gallery, a group of international scientists and diplomats watched in stunned silence. Dr. Elena Martinez, head of the Global Science Consortium, gripped the railing so tightly her knuckles turned white. Years of collaborative research, of pushing the boundaries of human knowledge, were about to be erased with a single bureaucratic decree. Thompson knew what was at stake. It wasn't just about scientific progress or economic potential. It was about humanity's fundamental right to determine its own future. The Galactic Council had made a fatal mistake. They saw humanity as a problem to be controlled, rather than a potential partner to be understood. The Council will provide a standard communication window of 72 standard hours for humanity to prepare its compliance documentation. Zorax continued, its tone suggesting the decision was already final. A subtle smile began to form at the corner of Thompson's mouth. The aliens might have thought this was a moment of judgment. They didn't realize they had just lit the fuse of humanity's most determined response. As the holographic transmission began to fade, Thompson activated a small communication device hidden in his sleeve, a prearranged signal that would set in motion a series of preparations that the Galactic Council could never anticipate. The room remained silent, the weight of the announcement hanging in the air like a physical presence. Outside the UN headquarters, millions of humans would soon learn about the Council's decision. Some would feel fear, some would feel anger. Colonel Jack Thompson felt something else entirely. Determination. 72 hours after the Galactic Council's announcement, The Global Innovation Complex transformed into something far more than a research facility. Deep beneath its pristine white exterior, a labyrinth of underground laboratories hummed with an energy that defied conventional scientific understanding. Dr. Michael Rodriguez stood at the center of a circular command center, holographic displays dancing around him like sentient spirits of technological potential. His team, a carefully selected group of the world's most brilliant minds, represented a cross-section of human innovation that would have been impossible just decades ago. A quantum physicist from Mumbai sat next to a materials engineer from Sao Paulo. A neural interface specialist from Toronto collaborated with a quantum computing expert from Beijing. We have exactly 72 hours to develop a technological response that will make the Galactic Council reconsider its decision, Rodriguez announced, his voice calm but charged with an underlying current of defiance. The first prototype materialized on the central holographic display, a quantum manipulation device that could theoretically rewrite the fundamental rules of energy transfer. It looked nothing like traditional technology. Organic yet precise, it resembled a living organism more than a machine. Dr. Aisha Patil, the quantum physics lead, explained its potential with a mixture of scientific precision and barely contained excitement. Traditional energy systems are linear, she said, manipulating the holographic model with subtle hand gestures. We're developing a system that doesn't just transfer energy, it adapts, learns, and transforms. Imagine an energy network that can predict and resolve potential failures before they occur, that can redistribute resources with living intelligence. Nearby, a team of materials engineers worked on what they called adaptive nanoarchitectures, molecular structures that could reconfigure themselves in milliseconds. The implications were staggering. Defensive systems that could change their molecular composition faster than any tracking system could target them. Spacecraft hulls that could heal themselves. Communication networks that could become invisible or impenetrable at will. Jack Thompson entered the facility, his military background contrasting with the pure scientific environment. He carried with him an encrypted communication from the Global Military Research Consortium. The Council thinks they can stop us, he said, projecting a holographic map of current human space assets. They don't understand that containment is the last thing we're interested in. Rodriguez nodded, understanding the deeper strategy. This wasn't just about technological development. It was about proving humanity's fundamental right to exist and evolve on its own terms. A young researcher named David Chen approached with a breakthrough that made even the most seasoned scientists pause. We've discovered a method of quantum entanglement communication that doesn't just transmit information. It creates temporary wormhole-like connections between communication points, he explained, his hands trembling slightly with the magnitude of the discovery. The implications were revolutionary. Instantaneous communication across potentially unlimited distances. A communication system that could bypass any form of interstellar surveillance or blocking mechanism the Galactic Council might implement. Outside the complex, the world continued its normal routine. News networks discussed the Council's announcement with a mix of fear and speculation. Politicians gave carefully worded statements. But here, in this underground sanctuary of human potential, something far more significant was happening. We're not just developing technology, Rodriguez told his team during a critical moment of strategy planning. We're writing the next chapter of human existence. The Galactic Council sees us as a problem to be controlled. We're going to show them we're a solution they never anticipated. The team worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional collaboration methods. Neural interfaces allowed instantaneous sharing of complex mathematical models. Quantum computing systems processed centuries of potential scenarios in minutes. Each breakthrough built upon another, creating a cascading effect of innovation. By the 36-hour mark, they had developed technologies that would have taken traditional research teams decades to conceptualize. Adaptive AI systems that could learn and evolve faster than any known computational model. Energy manipulation techniques that could potentially reshape matter at its most fundamental level. Dr. Elena Martinez, observing from a secondary command center, understood the true nature of what was happening. This wasn't just a technological response to a political threat. This was humanity redefining its place in the universe. As the final hours of the Council's imposed deadline ticked away, the team in the Global Innovation Complex knew one thing with absolute certainty. They were ready. The first strike would be a symphony of technological precision. Lieutenant Alexandra Kimura studied the holographic map of the Galactic Council's peripheral monitoring stations, her augmented neural interface parsing billions of data points per second. Each station represented more than a mere communications hub. It was a potential weak point in the alien surveillance network. The operation had been months in preparation, with every detail meticulously planned by the most brilliant minds humanity could assemble. Dr. Michael Rodriguez's quantum communication breakthrough would be the foundation. The neural-linked Special Operations Team would be the instrument of execution. Initiation sequence begins in 3 minutes, announced the AI system, its voice calm and devoid of emotion. Kimura's team consisted of 6 operatives, each selected from the most elite special forces units around the globe. They weren't just soldiers. They were living weapons, enhanced with neural interfaces and adaptive bio-augmentations that pushed the boundaries of human potential. The primary target was a monitoring station located in the Epsilon Eridani system, approximately 10.5 light-years from Earth. Conventional space travel would take decades. Their solution: a quantum folding technology that could compress space-time, allowing near-instantaneous travel. Quantum fold initiating, called out Marcus Rodriguez, the team's quantum navigation specialist. His fingers danced across a holographic interface, manipulating complex mathematical models that would have been incomprehensible to most humans. The ship, if it could be called that, was nothing like traditional spacecraft. An organic mechanical hybrid, it could adapt its molecular structure to avoid detection, change its energy signature instantaneously, and self-repair in microseconds. Traditional concepts of hull integrity or propulsion no longer applied. As they approached the monitoring station, the ship became almost invisible. Adaptive camouflage technology developed by Dr. Aisha Patel's team made traditional stealth look like child's play. They weren't just hiding, they were becoming an absence of information. Target acquired, Kimura announced, her neural interface syncing with the ship's systems. Preparation for infiltration. The monitoring station was a marvel of alien engineering, a massive spherical structure floating in the cold vacuum of space. Thousands of communication tendrils extended from its central core, processing astronomical amounts of data every microsecond. It was designed to be impenetrable, with multiple layers of quantum encryption and adaptive defense systems. They would prove otherwise. The infiltration began not with weapons, but with information. Quantum entanglement communication modules developed in the Global Innovation Complex began to interact with the station's systems. It wasn't hacking in the traditional sense. It was a complex dance of mathematical algorithms that would reprogram the station's core systems from within. "We're in," Marcus Rodriguez reported, his voice steady, initiating data extraction and system neutralization. The goal wasn't destruction. It was a precise, surgical demonstration of capability. Every alien system they touched would be reconfigured, marked with a digital signature that was equal parts warning and challenge. Highly classified human data would be subtly inserted into the station's core memory. Fragments of human achievement, technological blueprints, cultural information. A message: we are here. We are capable. We are not to be underestimated. The station's defensive systems activated, complex energy weapons charging. But by the time they could respond, the human team had already rewritten their targeting protocols. The weapons would fire, but into empty space, at imaginary targets. Extraction complete, Kimura reported. Mission accomplished. The entire operation took less than 7 minutes. Back on Earth, in the Global Innovation Complex, Dr. Michael Rodriguez watched the mission data stream in. A small smile crossed his face. This was more than a military operation. This was a statement of human potential. The Galactic Council would receive the mission logs within hours. They would see a perfectly executed infiltration that demonstrated technological capabilities far beyond what they believed possible. No lives were lost. No permanent damage was done. But the message was clear. Humanity was not to be controlled. As their quantum-folded ship returned to Earth, leaving behind a monitoring station that would take weeks to fully understand what had happened, Lieutenant Alexandra Kimura allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The first move had been made. The virtual conference room materialized around Colonel Jack Thompson, a carefully constructed digital environment that represented both neutrality and strength. 12 holographic representations of the Galactic Council's most senior members flickered into existence, their alien forms a stark contrast to Thompson's solid human presence. Zorax, the crystalline representative from the Centaur conglomerate, spoke first. Its voice dripped with calculated diplomatic venom. Explain the unauthorized infiltration of the Epsilon Eridani monitoring station. The alien demanded, prismatic body pulsing with colors that suggested barely contained anger. Thompson remained perfectly still. Years of diplomatic and military training had prepared him for this moment. He understood that this was more than a simple hearing. This was a battlefield of words, of perception, of fundamental understanding. Unauthorized. Thompson's response was measured, almost casual. I'm afraid you're mistaken. What you experienced was a diplomatic communication. A serpentine delegate from the Orion hegemony shifted uncomfortably. The gaseous entity from the nebula Concordat began to swirl with agitated motion. Thompson knew he had their full attention. With a subtle gesture, he activated a holographic display that began to unfold humanity's comprehensive response. Historical records, technological achievements, and a meticulously prepared argument began to materialize around them. For centuries, your Galactic Council has maintained a system of technological embargo, Thompson began. You've systematically limited the growth of emerging civilizations. You've controlled technological distribution. You've decided which species are ready for advanced technologies. The holographic display showed a comprehensive timeline. Civilization after civilization that had been contained, limited, their potential artificially restricted by the Council's interventions. We're not asking for permission, Thompson continued. We're declaring our right to exist, to grow, to explore. Dr. Elena Martinez, watching from the Global Innovation Complex, held her breath. This was the moment they had prepared for, a comprehensive dismantling of the Galactic Council's authority. The historical records Thompson presented were devastating. The Council had a long history of technological suppression. Civilizations that showed promise were invariably contained, their growth artificially limited. Humanity was simply the latest in a long line of potential threats. Your containment protocols are nothing more than institutional oppression, Thompson declared. Each word was carefully chosen, backed by irrefutable data. You've masked control as protection. You've presented limitation as guidance. Zorax attempted to interrupt, but Thompson was relentless. The holographic display began to show humanity's recent achievements: quantum communication breakthroughs, adaptive AI systems, space exploration milestones that defied the Council's projected timelines. In 50 solar cycles, we've achieved what your protected civilizations took thousands of years to accomplish, Thompson noted. The implication was clear. Humanity's potential wasn't a threat. It was a challenge to the Council's entire philosophical approach. The diplomatic assault was precise. Thompson wasn't just defending humanity. He was prosecuting the Council's entire system of galactic governance. Detailed records of previous civilizations emerged. Species that had been contained, their potential artificially limited. Economic data showed the massive technological taxes imposed by the Council. Cultural records demonstrated how these restrictions had crushed innovation and spirit. We're not asking to join your system, Thompson said, his voice cutting through the holographic space. We're offering you an opportunity to understand a different approach. The alien representatives found themselves on the defensive. Thompson had transformed what was meant to be a hearing into a comprehensive indictment of their entire governmental philosophy. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, watching from the research complex, allowed himself a small smile. This was more than a diplomatic meeting. This was a fundamental challenge to the existing galactic order. As the conference continued, it became clear that something fundamental had changed. The Galactic Council was no longer judging humanity. They were being forced to defend themselves against humanity's accusations. Thompson's final statement hung in the virtual space, a challenge and a promise. Humanity will not be contained. We will not be controlled. We will define our own path. The holographic transmission began to fade, leaving the alien representatives in stunned silence. The first move had been made. The global innovation complex transformed into a crucible of technological miracles. Dr. Michael Rodriguez stood at the epicenter of humanity's most ambitious technological unveiling, surrounded by holographic displays that pulsed with impossible potential. The first prototype materialized like a living organism, the quantum manipulation device that would redefine the boundaries of scientific understanding. Dr. Aisha Patel stepped forward, her hands moving through complex holographic interfaces with practiced precision. Traditional energy systems are linear, she explained to the gathered international representatives. What we've developed transcends everything previously considered possible. The device looked nothing like conventional technology. Organic yet geometric, it resembled a living crystal that breathed with internal energy. Molecular structures shifted and reconfigured in real time, adapting to potential challenges before they could even manifest. Jack Thompson watched from the sidelines, understanding that this was more than a technological demonstration. This was humanity's declaration of technological independence. The adaptive nano-architecture system came next. Marcus Rodriguez, no relation to Michael, but equally brilliant, demonstrated a material that could fundamentally change its molecular structure in milliseconds. A solid block transformed into a liquid, then into a gas, then back into a solid, all within the span of a heartbeat. Defensive systems are no longer about resistance, Marcus explained. They're about adaptation, instantaneous reconfiguration that makes traditional targeting systems obsolete. The international representatives watched in stunned silence. Military experts from a dozen nations realized that everything they understood about warfare had just been rendered obsolete. Dr. Elena Martinez unveiled the Quantum Communication Network, a system that didn't just transmit information but created temporary wormhole-like connections between communication points. The holographic display showed communication pathways that defied traditional understanding of space and time. Instantaneous communication across potentially unlimited distances, she proclaimed. A network that cannot be blocked, cannot be intercepted, cannot be controlled. Each demonstration built upon the last, creating a cascading effect of technological potential. The neural interface specialists showed systems that could link human consciousness with computational networks, creating a symbiosis between biological intelligence and artificial processing. David Chen, the youngest researcher on the team, presented a breakthrough that made even the most seasoned scientists pause. A computational system that could learn and evolve faster than any known model, and artificial intelligence that wasn't just intelligent, but alive in a way no previous system had been. The implications were staggering. Defensive systems that could predict and neutralize threats before they could even be conceived. Communication networks that could become invisible or impenetrable at will. Energy manipulation techniques that could potentially reshape matter at its most fundamental level. Colonel Thompson understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't just about technological development. This was about proving humanity's fundamental right to exist and evolve on its own terms. The final demonstration came from Dr. Michael Rodriguez himself, a quantum folding technology that could compress space-time, allowing travel across vast cosmic distances in moments. The holographic display showed potential travel routes that would have taken traditional spacecraft centuries to traverse. We're not just developing technology, Rodriguez told the assembled representatives. We're rewriting the fundamental rules of existence. Outside the complex, the world continued its normal routine. News networks struggled to comprehend the magnitude of what was being presented. Politicians gave carefully worded statements that betrayed their confusion and awe. But here, in this sanctuary of human potential, something far more significant was happening. Each breakthrough built upon another, creating a technological ecosystem that was greater than the sum of its parts. The Galactic Council's threat of containment had done more than provoke a response. It had unleashed humanity's most profound potential. As the demonstrations concluded, the international representatives looked less like government officials and more like witnesses to a fundamental transformation of human capability. Dr. Aisha Patel made eye contact with Colonel Thompson. No words were necessary. They both understood what this moment represented. This was more than a technological revolution. This was humanity's declaration of cosmic independence. The Orion sector erupted into chaos. Lieutenant Alexandra Kimura's squadron materialized at the sector's contested edge, their ships defying every known principle of space combat. The adaptive vessels looked alive, organic yet mechanical, shifting and reconfiguring with each microsecond of approach. The Galactic Council's armada stretched across millions of kilometers. Massive dreadnoughts from a dozen alien civilizations formed an imposing wall of technological might. Energy weapon arrays pulsed with centuries of accumulated defensive technology. Quantum shield generators hummed with power that could vaporize entire planetary systems. They believed they were prepared for anything. They were wrong. Squadron, initialize quantum adaptive protocol, Kimura commanded. Her neural interface connected seamlessly with the ship's systems, transforming the human fleet into a living, breathing organism of technological potential. The first wave of alien attack came with predictable precision. Massive energy beams lanced out, designed to overwhelm and destroy. But human ships didn't just dodge, they anticipated. Molecular structures shifted, energy signatures disappeared and reappeared kilometers away. What should have been devastating attacks became exercises in futility. Marcus Rodriguez, coordinating from the Global Innovation Complex, watched the battle unfold through a complex network of quantum-entangled communication relays. Adaptive response at 99.7% efficiency, he reported, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The human ships weren't just avoiding attacks. They were learning. Each alien weapon signature was analyzed, understood, and neutralized in milliseconds. Traditional combat doctrine became meaningless. The human fleet moved like a single, intelligent organism, unpredictable, adaptive, impossible to target. Dr. Elena Martinez observed the tactical display, her breath caught in her throat. This wasn't just a battle. This was a demonstration of humanity's fundamental technological philosophy. Alien fleet commanders watched in growing horror. Their most advanced tracking systems became useless. Weapons that had defeated countless civilizations now seemed like primitive tools. Human ships didn't just survive. They transformed the very nature of the engagement. Quantum folding initiating, Kimura announced. Her squadron began to move in ways that defied traditional understanding of space and movement. Ships appeared to be in multiple locations simultaneously. Energy signatures became meaningless. Traditional concepts of attack and defense dissolved. The Galactic Council's most advanced fleet found itself fighting an enemy that refused to conform to any known rules of engagement. Each alien civilization brought its most sophisticated technology and watched it become obsolete. Massive battleships that had dominated galactic conflicts for millennia became suddenly, terrifyingly vulnerable. Human ships smaller than their smallest support craft danced between massive energy weapons, their adaptive systems turning each potential hit into a learning opportunity. They're not just fighting, Dr. Michael Rodriguez muttered, watching the tactical display. They're evolving in real time. The battle became a symphony of technological innovation, where alien ships moved with rigid precision, human vessels moved with organic fluidity. Quantum communication networks allowed instantaneous tactical adjustments. Neural-linked pilots became one with their ships, their collective intelligence far exceeding any pre-programmed combat algorithm. Lieutenant Kimura's squadron began to counterattack. But this wasn't destruction. It was a precise, surgical demonstration of capability. Alien ships found their most critical systems subtly reconfigured. Weapon arrays became self-neutralizing. Shield generators turned inward, creating contained energy fields that immobilized rather than destroyed. "We're not here to annihilate," Kimura transmitted across all frequencies. "We're here to demonstrate." The Galactic Council's fleet found itself systematically neutralized without a single loss of life. Thousands of ships rendered inoperative, but their crews completely unharmed. It was a message more powerful than any weapon, a declaration of technological and philosophical superiority. As the engagement concluded, the tactical displays told a story of complete technological dominance. Dozens of alien civilizations' most advanced fleets have been rendered completely ineffective by a human squadron that seemed to exist outside the boundaries of known warfare. Colonel Jack Thompson, watching from Earth, allowed himself a small smile. The message was clear. Humanity would not be contained. The quantum communication network hummed with an unprecedented transmission. Dr. Elena Martinez stood at the epicenter of humanity's most audacious campaign, a comprehensive psychological and cultural assault that would redefine galactic understanding. "Initiate full-spectrum broadcast," she commanded. Across millions of light-years, alien civilizations found their communication networks infiltrated by a flood of human content. It wasn't an invasion. It was an invitation. The first wave carried humanity's artistic achievements. Renaissance paintings materialized alongside digital masterpieces. Music streamed in complex harmonies, from Beethoven's symphonies to jazz improvisations, from traditional Chinese erhu performances to Brazilian samba. Each piece carried an underlying mathematical complexity that hinted at the depth of human creativity. Scientific breakthroughs followed. Not just technological achievements, but the stories behind them. The struggles of Marie Curie, discovering radioactivity. The perseverance of Katherine Johnson, calculating spaceflight trajectories. The collaborative spirit that put humans on the moon. Each story was a testament to human potential, not just of achievement, but of collective aspiration. Philosophical treatises began to weave through the transmission. Diverse perspectives from around the globe. Eastern philosophical insights, Western analytical thought, indigenous wisdom, African philosophical traditions. The message was clear. Human understanding was not monolithic, but beautifully complex. David Chen, the neural interface specialist, had designed the transmission to be more than a simple broadcast. Each piece of content was adaptive, capable of translating itself into the cognitive frameworks of different alien civilizations. Mathematical underpinnings allowed the information to be understood at multiple levels of perception. "We're not just sending information," Chen explained to Colonel Thompson. "We're creating a cognitive bridge." Literary works followed. Not just stories, but the very evolution of human narrative. From ancient epics to modern novels, each text carried the complexity of human emotional experience. Alien civilizations found themselves confronted with the raw, unfiltered complexity of human existence. The mathematical foundations were particularly fascinating. Each artistic piece carried underlying structural complexity that revealed something profound about human cognition. Musical composition showed mathematical patterns that defied traditional alien understanding of harmony. Paintings revealed geometric principles that were simultaneously precise and wildly creative. Dr. Michael Rodriguez monitored the transmission's impact. Quantum sensors tracked the cognitive responses of receiving civilizations. This wasn't just a communication, it was a comprehensive psychological exploration. Cultural diversity became the transmission's most powerful weapon. Indigenous storytelling from Australia sat alongside Japanese poetry. African tribal music played next to European classical compositions. Each piece carried an underlying message of unity through diversity. The scientific achievements were particularly strategic. Humanity didn't just showcase its technological prowess. They revealed the human story behind each breakthrough. The failures, the collaborative efforts, the moments of inspiration that transformed human understanding. Archaeological records told a story of continuous human evolution. From early stone tools to quantum communication networks, each stage revealed a species defined by adaptability and collective imagination. Alien civilizations found themselves confronted with a fundamental challenge to their understanding of intelligent life. Humanity was not a singular, predictable entity. It was a complex, dynamic system of creativity and potential. The psychological impact was immediate and profound. Alien communication networks began to change. Discussions emerged that had never existed before. Civilizations began to question their own rigid philosophical and technological frameworks. "We're not asking for understanding," Dr. Martins said, watching the transmission's complex neural mapping. "We're offering a perspective." As the transmission continued, it became clear that this was more than an information campaign. It was a fundamental reimagining of what intelligent communication could be. Colonel Jack Thompson understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't about conquest. This was about connection. The quantum communication network pulsed with possibility. Humanity had entered the galactic conversation. The final confrontation was not a battle. It was a negotiation that would reshape galactic civilization. The vast chamber of the Galactic Council materialized around Colonel Jack Thompson, a space designed to intimidate and control. Holographic representations of 12 alien civilizations surrounded him, their collective technological might a testament to millennia of galactic governance. Zorax, the crystalline representative from the Centaur conglomerate, spoke first. Its prismatic body pulsed with colors that suggested a mixture of anger and unease. "Humanity has violated every established protocol of emerging civilizations," the alien proclaimed. Thompson remained perfectly still. A subtle neural interface connected him to the comprehensive data network developed by Dr. Michael Rodriguez. Every piece of information, every strategic insight was instantly available. Violated. Thompson's response was measured, almost contemplative. "We've simply refused to be controlled." The chamber fell silent. The holographic displays began to populate with the comprehensive record of humanity's recent actions. The infiltration of the monitoring station, the technological demonstrations, the psychological information campaign, the decisive space battle that had neutralized the Council's most advanced fleet. Dr. Elena Martinez watched from the Global Innovation Complex, her neural interface allowing her to monitor every nuance of the negotiation. This was more than a diplomatic meeting. This was a fundamental challenge to the existing galactic order. The representatives from the Orion hegemony shifted uncomfortably. The gaseous entity from the nebula Concordat began to swirl with agitated motion. They had never encountered a civilization that refused to conform to their established protocols. "Your technological progression is unprecedented," another representative interjected. "You've achieved in decades what other civilizations take millennia to accomplish." Thompson allowed himself a slight smile. "We're not asking for permission," he said. "We're declaring our right to exist on our own terms." The comprehensive data transmission they had broadcast across the galaxy began to play in the background. Art, science, philosophy, the raw, unfiltered complexity of human existence. Each alien representative found themselves confronted with a civilization that defied their understanding. Dr. Michael Rodriguez had prepared for this moment. The negotiation was not just about technological capabilities. It was about fundamentally reimagining the relationship between civilizations. "We propose a new framework," Thompson continued. "Not containment, not control, but mutual exploration and understanding." The terms were clear and non-negotiable. Full recognition of humanity's technological sovereignty, unrestricted access to galactic research networks, a permanent seat on the Galactic Council, not as a probationary member, but as a full participant. The alien representatives found themselves in an unprecedented position. Humanity had not just challenged their authority, They had demonstrated a level of technological and cultural complexity that demanded respect. Lieutenant Alexandra Kimura, who had led the decisive space engagement, stood as a silent testament to human capability. Her presence alone was a message. This was a civilization that could defend itself, but chose diplomacy. The negotiation continued for what seemed like hours. Each alien civilization began to understand that humanity represented something entirely new. Not a threat to be contained, but a potential partner in galactic exploration. David Chen's adaptive communication systems ensured that every nuance, every subtle cultural implication was perfectly translated. No misunderstanding would be possible. As the final terms were discussed, it became clear that this was more than a negotiation. This was a fundamental transformation of galactic governance. Colonel Thompson made eye contact with each representative. No words were necessary. They understood the magnitude of what was happening. The Galactic Council was about to change forever. "We accept your proposal," Zorax finally announced, its crystalline form pulsing with a mixture of resignation and grudging respect. Humanity had not just entered the galactic stage. They had rewritten the entire script.